Okay. The next mitzvah is a completely different mitzvah, and this is the mitzvah that a husband is not allowed to withhold his marital obligations to his wife. A husband has 3 areas of obligation to his wife. It's called she'er, kisus, and ona. That means that a husband has to provide his wife with food, clothing, and marital intimacy. That is the obligation which is on the husband. Now, the reason the Torah says it's here is because when the man marries a servant girl, let's say he's married to another woman simultaneously. By Torah law, you're allowed to marry to 2 women. So the Torah says, listen, once you marry the servant girl, she's no longer a servant. She's a full-fledged wife, and you have to treat her no different, and you have to provide her with the marital obligations, which are food, clothing. Some say a house is included in it, basic needs, and marital intimacy. Now, one of the ironies of Judaism is, and this should just help you, if you ever are in a situation where there's a feminist or somebody who is championing the cause of feminists, or even more accurately, somebody who's accusing Judaism of being male-oriented, male-dominated, male-chauvinistic, and there's room. I don't say to argue with people, because generally if you're arguing, people aren't listening to you, but if there's somebody who is open to rational argument, you could point out to them that, I don't know exactly why you say we pick on women, considering that the Torah, which you say is written only by men, for men, and about men, the Torah goes and saddles us with the financial obligation. That's no fun. I have a financial obligation to provide for my wife, according to the contract under the chuppah. And if we really wanted to pick on women, what I would do is I would tell women, take care of the domestics and provide me with the money. Why should I, if I really wanted to do that, I certainly wouldn't turn around and shoot myself in the foot. Yeah, okay, but you got to provide the livelihood. Oh, thanks a lot. What about your wife? Well, I got news for you. If a woman works, and a woman comes home and says to her husband, by the way, I quit my job, you have 0 legal recourse in Beis Din. She's not obligated to support you. What she's been doing has been done. She has a certain amount she has to provide you for in the home. She has to cook for you and then so on and so on. But 0 financial responsibility to you in what she's doing out of goodness of her heart. If a man comes home and he says to his wife, I quit my job, I'm not going to support you anymore, that's grounds for a get. She could take him to Beis Din and she could demand the get with the support. Now, when you get married, you give your wife a ksuba. You give your wife a ksuba. You know what a ksuba is? Ksuba is a marriage. So people have ksubas that have little flowers and hearts around it, and they make these really pretty ksubas. It's like putting flowers and hearts around your mortgage. That's what it's like. So here's my mortgage document with a flower. I only owe $94,000. Isn't that sweet? Just like a heart, And sorry, I got news for you. It's a document. It's a financial obligation. In case of death or divorce, what she's entitled to, there's nothing in the ksuba that says, and I love you. None of that. No romance in the ksuba. It's all about your obligations from a strictly halachic point of view. Now, it's very important to point this out to women. When women say, well, you look what you say about women. Yeah, but look what we say about men. Do you know that the Torah mentions the marriage relationship twice in the written Torah? Both times, it's the obligation of the husband. How do you like that? The first time is over here, where it says that you have to take care of her your marital obligations. And the second time is when it says, when you get married, you got to keep her happy. You got to make her happy, what they call Shana Rishon, the first year of marriage. You have an obligation to make your wife happy. How do you like that? And it doesn't say anywhere about it. In the written Torah, it doesn't say anything about making the husband happy. It says that the husband has to make the wife happy. So the bottom line here is that when we say things about women, when the Torah says things about women, it's not a positive, it's not a negative, it's a fact of life. And if a wife has obligations, the husband has obligations. We're not, we're not choosing sides over here. That's what the Torah is telling you over here. Now, just to help you, if you ever get caught in this, where, the halacha is that whatever a wife owns, the husband owns. A wife's not allowed to give away money without the husband's permission. If a man knocks on the door to collect tzedakah, by the letter of the law, the wife is only allowed to give away a minimal amount of it. You're not allowed to take a big donation from a wife unless the husband has approved it. That's the halach. So everybody say, well, that's not fair. Why should the men? Well, one second. Don't you understand how the system works? The men are the one. When a man dies, the inheritance goes to the boys. If there are no boys, then it goes to the girl. Otherwise, the girl does not get, by letter of the law, the girl does not get an inheritance. They could write it in such a way they could give her a gift. But she is not entitled to an inheritance from by the way, this is probably one of the most common areas of theft in Judaism, is where people insist on getting an inheritance based on civil law, which halacha does not entitle, which means you're stealing money that the Torah gave to somebody else. You're simply stealing from your sibling. If you want to give it to them, you could give it to them as a gift. But if they're taking it from you based on civil law, they're stealing from you. They're stealing from you because it doesn't belong to them. So why should it be that the Torah does not entitle the women to money, gives only to the men? The answer is because the men are going to have to do the supporting. That's why. The same men that have to do support, it's logical that the men should then be given the inheritance so they can get a head start. Why is it that all through history, not just Jewish history, and non-Jewish history, why is it that the father always provided a dowry for his daughter? He had to provide money for the groom. And if he did provide money if he didn't have a dowry, then nobody would marry his daughter. It's very simple. Because when a guy who's 25 is getting married, or he's 20 or 25 is getting married, and the father is 50, and he's married, well, theoretically, the father's more established. Now, up until this point, the father has been caring for his daughter. Now you're about to take on financial, where am I supposed to start? So he's giving you a head start on taking care of his daughter off his hands. It's perfectly logical. There's nothing disparaging here about women at all. The women have to stay home and take care of the domestics. Because you can't give birth even if you want to. And it's only a woman who gives birth. And when a woman gives birth, she becomes the least suitable person to be an employee. Because she's going to be missing a lot of work. She can't even reach the desk because of her belly. So how is she going to, she's not a good employee. She's great at domestics. And therefore the whole system is very, very logical. There's nothing disparaging here about women whatsoever. That's the idea. The next one is completely different. By the way, there's a statement, there's a medrash that says, as painful as childbirth is, remember when Adam Harishon, when they got punished for the first sin. So she got the punishment of bearing children and raising children, which was not easy. It's called Tsar Gidul Banim. What was Adam's punishment? You're going to have to, got to marry her, yeah. Adam's punishment was, you're going to have to work for a living. That's a punishment. And the Medrash says, the pressure of making a living is twice as painful, twice as difficult as childbearing. Now, women don't like hearing that. Most women say, yeah, I'd like to see some man go through this. I told my wife once that the pregnancy, childbirth thing was just an attention-getting thing. I said it once. What do you call it? She said, yeah, so is this. Boom, you see, because when it comes to parnasa, women you give birth, okay, it's over. Oh, it's painful, and it's over. Parnasa is never over. Parnasa is 24 hours a day. And on any given day, you could come home and find out, oh, by the way, the washing machine broke. No kidding. Who broke it? Well, your son. No kidding. Where is he? He's in prison. We got to bail on how much is bail, and it's endless. It's absolutely endless. So at any point, the parnasa is 24 hours a day. That's a tremendous pressure. That's the punishment. Okay. Any question on that? Okay. So stop here. Continue tomorrow.